Hey guys, in today's video we're going to learn how to make this dinosaur crate. So I've started off with a square cake that was 8 inches wide, and we're just going to cover two of the sides in black. Now reason that we're doing this is we're going to cut some holes out of the top to make it look like it's got like a little gap at the top for the dinosaurs to breathe. And so we cover the cake black all in one sheet so that it doesn't give like an awkward line. If you was just to put a little bit of a strip there, and also it just gives a little bit of depth to the cake as well. So you want to do that and just smooth it over and trim off any excess. Doesn't need to go all the way to the edges or be too neat, so don't worry about that. And next we're going to cut some strips. Now the strips we're going to place on again on two of the sides they want to go all the way up, and then on the other two sides they want to go sort of like I would say about 3/4 of the way up. You're just going to put these on with a little bit of water, sticking it straight onto the ganache, and you're going to do 4 in total. And you're going to carry on just working your way around the cake and just sticking them into place. And you can see I'm trimming those ones down a little bit. So you can see I've got the full length ones on one side, and then on the other side I've got the ones that probably go, I'd say, about 3/4 of the way up. I'm going to cover this in water, and then we're going to cover this in the base colour for the crate. Now I was doing this for my son's birthday and it was for Jurassic World, and so I believe the crates for that one were sort of like a deep grey blue kind of colour. So that's what I did for this one, but you could change the colour if you wanted to. And so what we're going to do is we're going to push the blue onto there, and then you're just going to run your fingers through the gaps just to really make sure that it's stuck on, and then trim off any excess on the bottom or on the top. What I ended up doing with this, just to smooth it out a little bit more, was putting a bit of the blue fondant in some cling film, and then just smoothing that up and down between the gaps. My fingers were really a bit sticky on this day, so that's the best way that you can do it. The corners, you don't have to be too neat because we are going to cover them later on, but try to get it as neat as you can so that you don't see any bulk through when you stick the additional parts on. So it's all about layering up this cake. The black I rolled really thin because obviously it's a double layer of fondant. So you just want to twist a ball of fondant in some cling film and then just use that to rub up and down. And you can see it's just creating that groove really, really nicely. And it's not leaving any fingerprints or anything like that in there. It's smoothing it out quite nice. So you're going to cover all 4 sides in the exact same way. Just wetting it with a little bit of water and pushing it on. Now with the shorter sides, obviously you want to flatten out the top because that's where we're going to cut the gap for the dinosaur's eyes to go in. Now the dinosaur eyes that I painted are not in this tutorial because I've done a separate tutorial for blue, and I've shown how to do dinosaur eyes, how to paint them. I did go for the Indoraptor eyes, so the colours that I used were more orange and red, and I just basically did a little bit of white fondant and placed it on some black fondant. So you're going to cut out the little squares for the top, and this is where you're going to stick your dinosaur eyes. I'm just using a scalpel. I'm trying hard not to press too deep because we don't want to take the black off. We are only looking to take the blue colour off. And so once you've got the black bit visible, you can then pull it off and then just go ahead and neaten up those lines. And you want to do 3 of these across the whole box. All roughly the same size. and just using your modelling tool and your fingers just to push it, any loose bits out of the way that you don't need, and just neatening up any lines, and then moving on to your other ones. I do apologise if you hear any noise in the background, it's actually the guinea pigs. So once you've trimmed off these three, you want to repeat this on the side that's got the lower bars as well. The other two sides should be just left as full, which is the front and the back of the cake. I set this cake slightly further back so you could see there was room at the front for a name, or I ended up painting dinosaur feet on these ones. So again, just trimming off any excess off the side. And then on the front of the cake, you're going to draw a line up the middle. And this is going to give the effect of doors. And we're going to work on that a little bit more later, but you need to get the line in quite early just so that the paste doesn't have time to dry. So I've done it with a knife, and then I'm just going over it with the pointy side of the Dresden tool. Next we're going to put on the top, so again just a little bit of water and roll out your square and then just stick this on top. Now if you smooth it out and there's a little bit of a gap, don't worry about that because we are going to cover that anyway. It doesn't need to be perfectly straight, the line, because you won't see it, but you do need the top bit to be smooth. I actually set an egg on top of this cake, so there is a separate tutorial for that. I will post the link in the description box below, and I've also got a tutorial for how to create Blue, the raptor, as well, and so I'll put that in the description box below as well. So we're trying to keep the top as neat as that we can, trimming off any excess that's hanging down and just really smoothing out the top. So you can see there that it's all flat. So now we've got some additional blue strips, and these are going to be used to cover the joins on the cake. So they're probably about, I would say, about 1.5 centimetres wide to 2 centimetres. It really doesn't matter the width, because once you've pushed it on and you've sharpened the edges, you need to trim off anyway just to sort of neaten up that line. And you want to make sure that the bottom of the cake is tucked under as well, where the join is at the bottom, that you've tucked that in. So I've just got some flexi smoothers and I'm just placing those on the side of the strip that we've just put on, just to try and sharpen up those edges a little bit. You can see what I mean, where it's come out of shape at the top there. And we're just going to do what we did before, run our scalpel up and neaten up that line, taking off any excess that we don't need. When you're putting on your water, if you make sure that you just put it on the crease in the middle, it'll make sure that the fondant only sticks to that part, which will make any kind of removal of excess fondant to neaten up the line a lot easier to do. And you're going to repeat this for all of the 4 sides that are on the cake. So just pushing it into place, sticking it down in the middle, trimming off the excess off the top. You're going to sharpen the edges with your flexi smoothers and just take off any excess with your scalpel. It's quite repetitive, but it just adds to the detailing of the cake. If you do have any questions about anything that's happened in this video, please feel free to ask down below. You can message me directly on Facebook, or you can join my Facebook page, which is Cake Nation Academy, and there's a group of us in there that can answer any questions that you've got. So once you've done all 4 of the sides, we're then going to repeat the same process, but we're going to do it on the top of the cake. So again, just a strip of water in the middle, and you're going to take another one of your strips and do exactly the same as what we've done before. So you want half on the top and then for it to fold over and half go on the front of the cake. You don't want to push too hard because you don't want to push it out of shape, and you want to use your finger to recreate those grooves in the top half as well that you've just added. So pushing it into place and trimming off any excess if needed, going across and putting in your sharper edge. It doesn't need to be too sharp, it's just to give it the illusion that there's two sheets of metal that have been folded to hold that piece in. I've lined in a top mark there just to make it look like the door's actually open, and then you're just going to repeat that process through the rest of the top of the cake, so there'll be 4 again to do for that one. Doesn't matter if they overlap at the top here, because again we're going to add some additional detail onto there, so that will all get hidden anyway. So don't go out of your way to try and push that down or blend in that line. You're not going to see it when we've finished. So you can see I'm just cutting some little squares, and then we're just going to stick these on to cover that little bit that we've just spoke about. And you're going to do this for all corners of the cake. With your scriber, you're just going to imprint that on. So you can see I've done 1 on each part, so you'll have 3 squares in total. Next I've cut some little strips in my blue fondant, and these are just going to go around the window frame, the little windows or air holes, whatever you want to call them. And so you're just going to stick it on so it's half overlapping the black and half on the sort of like grey blue. And you're going to do this for all of your windows, so there should be 6 in total. And you're just sticking it on and then trimming it down so that it fits. Can be quite fiddly, but again, it's just all the little details that just make it look a little bit better. So once you've done that for all of your windows, you're going to cut another strip, and this is just going to go around the bottom. So again, for the bits that are at the front where the door is, you're going to obviously have to push in that line for the door, because we want it to look like it can open at any time. And this is going to hold our the metal things. I don't know what their proper name is, but the metal things that would fasten and open the box. So just with some grey fondant, you're just going to put some little strips across, and this is going to obviously look like it's the hinges for the doors to open and close. And you're going to do 3 of these on either side, and again these are going to go at the front and at the back of the cake. Now, I don't know what's going on with my camera recently, but some parts of the video seem to be missing. Now, I did feel that there was enough recorded that would show you how to complete the cake, and there was enough material there that was just too much to waste. So I will talk you through everything. So I've got some spaghetti, and this is going to go in the middle to give it some support and allow it to stand up. Also, the reason that I use this is because this was made the night before for my son's birthday, and I didn't have time to allow it to dry firm. So you're going to add some water into some grey fondant, and this is just going to make it really sticky so that it actually adheres to the spaghetti. And we're going to put a little bit of Trex on our hands to stop it from sticking on our hands. And you're going to just wet the piece of spaghetti, and you're just going to wrap the fondant around it, and then you're pulling it down all the way to the bottom. Now it doesn't matter at this stage if it's lumpy or bumpy, because we can smooth that out, but you do eventually want to get it so that it's quite thin, and so you've only got a little bit of fondant wrapped around the spaghetti. And so take off any excess off the top, and this is going to go on the front of the cake, and you're going to need to do, I think it was 3 or 4 of these that I did. I will let you know how many you do need. And you're just going to make these and put them to one side just to firm up a little bit, because you're going to want to stick them to the bottom of the board and to the top as well. And we're going to put some other bits of fondant. So you can see there that I've just got my cake smoother, and I'm just rubbing that up and down, and that's going to take my fingerprints out and the lumpy bumpy parts out of it and make it smooth. So you can see it's going to fit there, and you want to do one for the other side as well. When I dusted this, I did just use, I think it was a black, a blue and a grey, and I just rubbed dust on random parts to make it look a bit dirty, and make it look like it had a bit of, shadow and stuff like that on it. So you can see I'm just rolling it again just to get it nice and smooth. And I'm always checking it for size. You do want them to all be roughly the same size. And just keep rolling it until it gets thin enough. You can always take off any excess, but you can never add on once it's already started. And because you made the fondant tacky, it should just stick to that spaghetti quite nicely. Again, if you get stuck at this bit because it's the actual silver bit at the end that's missing, if you do get stuck, please just message me here or message me on Facebook, and I'll be able to talk you through it or help you as much as what I can. So it can take a little bit of a while to just get it the right thickness that you need. You want it to be a similar kind of thickness as what the other ones are. You want to use the same grey for the floor, and for the floor I just put in some lines to make it look a bit like pavement, and I dusted in the middle brown, black. So you can see I'm just going in through the tops of the circles that we put on earlier. I'm just going to do this all the way around the cake. Just on the squares, that's all you're going to do. I've pre-cut some letters just in the large letter stamps, just to say Jen. It saves hand painting the logo on, and it still looks as effective. Always start with the E, because that's going to go in the middle. So once you've got that dead centre, you can just add the other two on there. Just applying a tiny little bit of water to the letter rather than to the cake. You're just going to push in gently with the knife just to create that groove, because obviously this is the doors that open. Just trying to keep the letters level with each other as well, and making sure that you push it into the groove, because you want it to sort of look like it's been painted on rather than added. And just with the final letter, I dusted the cake before I added the letters onto it. That's just to stop the letters from going blue or brown or black, which is what I covered the cake with. So here's my eyes that I made earlier, and I'm just going to stick these random places throughout the cake to make it look like a dinosaur's looking through. Again, if you watch the blue video, it's exactly the same process for that, it's just I've changed the colours. So grey fondant to go on the board, and we're just going to mark some lines in again to make it look like pavement, and you're going to work this all the way around the board. When you've put your lines in, you're going to brush over that with a sort of like a dark grey, almost black colour, and that's just going to give it a bit more of a natural look. Same process that I've used there, you're going to use that for the sides of the cake as well. And I'm just marking in gently, just random shapes. And then here's our sticks that we made, covered in the spaghetti covered in fondant. We're just going to use a little bit of water to stick these on. So you want these to go over the letters and close to the middle where the doors actually are. And I've just pre-cut some little sausages, and these are going to wrap around the top, and that's going to hold it in place. So just a tiny little bit of water, some on the board so that it sticks onto the board, and some on the top of the cake. You want it to be lifted away from the cake so you could almost fit your fingers behind it as well. And so just with the little sausages, a little bit of water, and you're just going to fold that over the front so you can see what I've got there. And we're going to do the same exactly for the bottom, just with the little sausage. And then you're just going to do the same for the other side. Now this is where the video actually cuts off, the other side didn't record, but you're just basically doing the same thing. You're going to put on a tiny little bit of a handle, so roll in a teardrop shape and then just sticking that on. So here's the finished cake, guys. I hope you liked today's video. I will put a link in the description box for the egg and the dinosaur tutorial. If you've liked the video, please give a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. And if you'd like to see some of my other videos, please click the links on the screen now. Thank you.